Binti Abdul Malik. We are happy to see everyone here today for our webinar. In this webinar, we are going to talk about Teens Guide to Leading an Active Lifestyle, and we will be sharing talks from our pretty and handsome panelists, one Nurin Hazwani,
Yeah.
Mr. Amin, Sport Officer from JBS and Perak. Welcome to this webinar, Sir and Madam. Before we start, let's begin our webinar with this video.
I'm here to announce my retirement from sports. Baseball, basketball, all of them. I feel like it's time. The pressure that it takes to play at my age is just too much. So I'm done with the endless advice from parents to keep my head up, to keep my head down, to keep my head in the game. I know you think you helped. I'm walking away from the coaches that left me on the bench every time the game was on the line. I'll miss my friends and the fun we had when we were young. I said I'd play this game as long as I was having fun. And now, it's time to call it quits. Any questions?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching our video. Okay, what is exactly a sport? This is a question that not many people think about. Sport is a game, competition, or activity needing physical effort and skills that is played or done according to rules. Is it for enjoyment or as a job? Sport involves some type of moving the body through the environment and burning calories. It brings up the picture of sweat and physical exhaustion. Sport also involves some type of competition and deals with the struggles between individuals or teams. Examples of sports are badminton, bowling, hockey, tennis, and many more. Everyone can play sports whether they are young or old. Sport brings many benefits to us. Teenagers are the groups who should play more sports in their free time for hobby or as a competition. However, we can see that nowadays, many teenagers quit sports due to some personal reasons. One, Nurin Hazwani, throughout your career being a sport coach in school, do you agree with my statement? Would you give some opinion about the matter?
Okay. Before I answer the questions and discuss this topic in more depth, I would like to thank to the moderator, Nurul Ilham, for the questions and the opinion that you gave. To be honest, yes, I agree with Nurul's statement that teenagers stop playing sport for personal reasons. In fact, according to study conducted by the National Alliance for Sport, more than 70% of teenagers lose interest in sports as they grow older. So, the question is why? Why do teenagers increasingly dislike sports? What is the personal problem that Nurul mentioned? There are several factors that I will share on this topic. And the first thing that involves the personal problem is pressure. There are two things that maybe can form opinions, such as physical pressure and mental pressure. From my own experience as coach will always have goals to achieve in any sport, and this requires commitment for themselves, especially in the training schedule. And sometimes there is training schedule that is quiet, dense, and frequent. So I think this is one of the factors that makes them stress on themselves and do not like to take part in the sport. They also they will feel a little stressed with the training schedule that we have given them. In addition, for me, teenagers do not like to be burnt with the attitude of some coach who are very concerned about the progress of the performance of all athletes. Parents also want children to prove the performance of teenagers and teams. At a young age, they're only required to win, and that is one of the reasons why teenagers are becoming more stressed. Therefore, only teenagers who are truly interested in sports and individuals that feel the sport is the only in their career can cope with this situation. But we also need to know that there are many great athletes in various sports, but not all of them are strong physically and mentally, because humans have different abilities and levels. Besides that, teenagers also do not feel fun when playing sports. This is because as we get older, it will become more competitive. There are teenagers who play sport because of interest, and there are also teenagers who make sport a serious matter. As we see now, the sport is already a competition. As a result, teenagers realize that they cannot compete at the level they need, to, and they are not ready to dedicate themselves to sport. From here, we can see that when sport becomes serious and victory become the main goal, it will put tremendous pressure on them and make teenagers feel bad about sports. And another reason teenagers do not participate in sport is that parents discourage their children from actively participating, such as in school sports. In my school, there are students who are talented in sports such as badminton, athletics, and so on. But they only play at the school levels, whereas their talents can be polished to a high level. When I ask them why, and also offer to train them, they do not want, and they give a reason that their parents do not allow it. This is because of the mindsets of parents. They only focus too much on their child achievement in the academic field. Parents also think that when their child participates in sports, it will be a waste of time and a nuisance of lessons. There are also some parents who feel that this sport is pointless and no future. We also need to know that in order to produce excellent teenagers, academic achievement is not enough. It is necessary to balance sports and academic. And last but not least, on my own part, actually, we also have a role to play in this case. We also do not overlook the things that are our responsibility to look after the welfare of teenagers as a whole. I also believe that a good coach is capable of changing the life of teenagers for the better and positively. That's all for me, Nurul. Thank you.
Thank you, Puan Nurin. As you stated, the causes of teenagers do not participate in sports. I believe they have something they like to do in their free time. Dear Mr. Glenn, as a parent at home, may you share with all of us what are your kids' activities? So far, what is your observation and your thoughts from your kid activities at home?
Okay, so first I would like to thank our moderator Nurul Ilham for inviting me to give my thoughts and experience as a parent. So today I would like to share my experience on what I observe my kids are doing in their free time. Yes, it is true. My two teenage sons rarely do any sports at all. Most of the time, they just like to spend their time inside the house. As a parent, I would be lying if I say that I am not concerned about their health at all. Seeing them leading an inactive lifestyle really worries me from time to time. One of the things that I often see them do is that they are always looking at their smartphones. They would just bring their smartphones everywhere they go, and it seems like they can't even stop playing with them. Sometimes I see them playing games, other times they are scrolling through social media and watching videos, and sometimes they are too busy chatting on their phones through social media such as WhatsApp and Messenger. Whenever evening time comes, other teens are going out to play some sports. However, my teenage sons are staying at home with their faces glued to their smartphones. I am also concerned about their posture while they are using their smartphones. As we all know, having our heads angled down all the time is bad for our posture, especially for the neck and the backbone. This situation may affect my son's body posture in the future, as I am afraid they might develop complications concerning their body posture sometime in the future. Another thing beside playing with their smartphone is that they seem to be always watching television. It is not even much of a help when my son's favorite television show is being aired at the evening of the day. This pretty much removes the possibility of him going outside of the house in the evenings, let alone having the time to go out with his friends to do some sports or even exercise for that matter. I once told him to get off the couch and told him to be more productive and active for a day, and he just nodded and agreed while continuing to watch the television. Seems like my advice does nothing for them at this point. I have once read an article online talking about how people that spend much of their time watching television will end up being obese. I think it was linked to the fact that watching television does not require one to move much at all. I can see that my son's body is getting a bit overweight than other average teens his age, so I think that the article may be true. As a parent, I am very concerned about this matter as I really prioritize both of my son's health and overall body condition. Other than playing with their smartphones and watching television shows, both of my sons prefer to sleep in their free time. Sleeping on itself is not a bad thing, at least through my eyes as a parent, because sleep is important for the body to recover energy lost throughout the day. However, both of my sons are sleeping even in the evening time. I am starting to believe that they are oversleeping at times, as I always see them sleeping whenever they have nothing to do. This habit of sleeping from them does not bring out any benefit for themselves, as they could have been doing much more productive things in their free time, such as playing sports. So that is all for my sharing today. As a parent, I am very concerned about my two teenage sons for how they lack in doing sports activities, especially when they have the time to do so. I really do hope that other parents and other teenagers can benefit from my sharing today, as I believe that every teenager out there should be leading an active lifestyle, especially on being involved with sports. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn, for your sharing. I think most of all teenagers nowadays really love to playing gadgets, sleeping, and watching TVs whenever they have free time, right? But however, they should spend their time in physical activities like sport. Welcoming Nur Izzati, a student from SMK Hirjohari, Perak. Izzati, as a sports student, can you tell us what are the importance and benefits of sports for teenagers?
Okay, thank you for your question, Ms. Moderator. Assalamualaikum and good evening. Assalamualaikum and good evening, guys. First of all, I would like to say thank you to you guys because still interested to stay and listen to our group webinar. As a teenagers, I would like to discuss the important sport to teenagers. Before I start with my first point, I interested to ask you all, do you like sport? Please raise your hand. Okay, that's good. I see many of you like sport. Okay, did you guys know about the important sport for us? Okay, never mind. Okay, let me start with my first point. That sport are good for health. As you guys know, having a good health is more important to all people, not for teenagers only. Either physically or mentally. As the title of our webinar is more important for teenagers, so I will only focus on teenagers by dividing them into two, namely physical and mental health. For physical, sport can help teenagers to build a healthy, fit, and attractive body. Sport can also strengthen muscles and bones, as well as keep the body healthy by burning excess body fat. But while in terms of mental, sport can invigorate the mind because they can prevent depression and reduce stress. Uncontrolled and not well managed stress can affect overall health, especially for those who work and study. For your information, the statistic on depression in Malaysia is that 2.3% of the country's people aged 16 years old and above suffer from mental health problems. And according to the National Health and Mobility Survey in 2017, also found suicidal behavior among teenagers between 13 years old to 17 years old shows an increasing trend for the prevalence of suicidal ideas was 10% compared to the 7.9% in 2012. The statistic that I got was from Metro News 5th of June 2022. Okay. My second point is sport can provide social benefit to us. This is because sport can foster unity among students. As we know, sport cannot differentiate the racial community in Malaysia. For example, various sports in Malaysia consist of Malay, Chinese, and Indian athletes. For example, in football sport, we can see there are players from dividend races. From different races. Despite they are from different races, they can unite and work together to make Malaysia famous regardless of race and religion. This tolerance and sportsmanship can be the key to success in sport. So do you guys agree with me? Okay, never mind. My last point is sport can harness the talents of teenagers who can create the path towards sports excellence. This is because sports competition at the school level can detect and harness our hidden talent of us in various sports such as badminton, football, hockey, and so on. With this, the school can dig out talent and produce many athletes who have the potential to go to the higher level. Not only that, there are many teenagers nowadays who are more active and prefer sport to academic. For them, sport can also be used as a career when they grow up. I'm sure that all this effort can make the sport arena excellent at the higher level. Okay, in my conclusion, the involvement of teenagers in sport can bring more benefit. Also, the societies should encourage teenagers to get involved in sport to be healthy, foster unity among teenagers, and be able to harness the talent in sport. District administrators should also create more sport in residential area at least once a month. It can also attract teenagers to show their talents in sport. So do you guys agree with my suggestion? Okay, that's all from me, Miss Moderator. Thank you. I pass it to you.
There are many benefits of sports to young kids, but the question is, how do they get themselves into sports? There must be ways to attract teenagers to sports. Mr. Amin, as a sport officer, may you share your thoughts on how to attract teenagers to sport back?
Hello, thank you, Miss Moderator, for inviting me to this webinar. Assalamualaikum and a very good evening, everyone. I hope all of you are in a good mood today. Okay, first of all, I want to talk about what sport officer do. We is boosting participants in sport top program that motivate people to participate. Now, I will share some way to attract the teenager or student involved in sport. We will see other rules such as parent, school, and community, which is the Department of Youth and Sports. Okay, first of all, we see the motivational event for parents. Okay, nowadays I understand that parents become worried about their kid education rather than their kid sport. Okay, most parents will track their kid in their room to study. Because of the burden of study, they will have less physical activity and to be interested in sports. I think the effort that I can do is set up a motivational event for parents to join. So from that event, parents will learn how to support their kid in participant in sport. Okay, parents should encourage their children to participate in sport that they enjoy. This will give their children the impression that someone is rooting for them. I believe that initiative that will be implemented will represent the value in the sport. Okay, the next point is I will encourage the sport teacher from the school to support their student to take charge through support club. Okay, as example, sport teacher can join our program, which is your sport leadership work to train teachers and coach in coaching and mentoring skills that help them enable to students become sport leadership. Okay, so that they can build their own program from scratch and transform the way they look at fitness with group and activity that interest them. Sport club allows students to take on accountability and responsibility, giving them a sense of fulfillment while developing competencies that can be applied within the school and beyond. Sport club also help young adults build lasting friendship and make them feel a wider community. This student, this student then go on to further develop their skill leadership by organizing sport festival in their cities and community and train 11 to 12 years old to build their own leadership skill to make sport sustainable in their schools. Okay. Furthermore, most of the sport competition that we hold are about to run the sport better where there are no athletes involved. Okay, why do I say this? I give you an example where you play in one competition with someone or a group that are already an expert in that sport. What do you think percentage of winning? Okay, I think you will say 0, right? Because if there are no athlete participants, it will give the chance to the student. Okay, in my program, we will do that. There are no athlete participants. It will give the chance to students to become more interested to join and confident to be on in the sport. Okay, last but not least, we will celebrate fitness festival. Give teenagers a chance to celebrate something even it is physical activity. The International Day of Sport for one student, one sport initiative by Ministry of Education is just one day where school can invite family and other community members to participate in developing before and after programs. Sport festivals are great platform for parents and students to come together and brainstorm additional events and ideas for festival. For example, school can make activities like hula hooping, sack race, or egg and spoon race, and the whole community can get involved in a sport. In conclusion, the last thing that I can say is let teenagers pick a sport. It is the best thing because they know what they are suitable for. The sport nowadays is rare because there are some sports that are not using body but instead need IQ to play, such as game like a Mobile Legend, Dota, Player Under Battleground which is PUBG and others. But they need to keep in their mind that help is important. So we as sport officers will provide some tools that make activity. As instance, PUBG is a role-play game where we make electronic gun and some plays that connect to the game. That's make teenagers use their part of body like dodging the bullet. Okay, that's all from me. I pass to the moderator back.
To conclude, even though teenagers these days are increasingly getting involved in useless hobbies, there are methods that can be that can be adopted to captivate their attention back to sports and to have a better living lifestyle. Parents, teachers, and government need to take measure to support teenagers playing sports. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to an end I would like to ask the audiences, is there any question from all of you? Thank you for all of the questions. I will pick 3 questions from the chat box. From Aizat, do sports activities affect adolescents' learning? I would like to call Mr. Glenn to answer this question.
Yes, can you repeat the question once more?
Aizat asks, do sports
Mhm.
activities affect adolescents' learning?
Do sport activities affect adolescent learning?
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't, because I believe that by doing sports, it will help develop your mind better, thus making our development as adolescents much more better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn. Next question. What is the disadvantage of sport? I would like to call Mr. Amin to answer this question.
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, disadvantages of sport is include incurring injuries, the expense of buying equipment and joining club, the time used up practicing and traveling to match or competition, as well as dealing with antisocial opponent such as a bad loser. Okay, I think that's all the disadvantages of sport.
Okay, last question from Muhammad Islan. Between playing in the team and individually, which one of these do you think is better? I would like to call Puan Nurin to answer this question.
Okay, thank you, Muhammad Islan, for your question. I think playing individual is your success and failure is solely your responsibility. This can boost your self-esteem and independence in all aspects of your life, since you know you can achieve on your own because you don't have courage to learn on your share the weight of defeat. You may become more self-aware and motivated to work more in order to achieve. But playing in team is good also because team sports encourage collaboration, because regardless of the individual abilities of the players, you must work together and really on your teammates to succeed. That's all.
Thank you for the questions from audiences in the chat box and the answers from panelists. I would like to thank all of the panelists, Puan Nurin, Mr. Glenn, Izzati, Mr. Armin, to spend their time in our program, and Mr. Zahrin. Let's have a photography session. Thank you so much. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Okay, good job for this group 8. Okay, so thank you so much for having us as your audiences, and good job for explaining about your topics. Okay, so it's a relief. You have done your part. Okay, so for the next presentation will be continue to the next week. Okay, so the other group, please get ready for you to present. Okay, so I think that today we managed to watch a few of group who willing to present. Okay, and then based on their presentation, I hope that you can gain experience on what you should do when you are doing your presentation later. Okay, so thank you again. I'll see you next week. Assalamualaikum. Have a good day. Bye bye, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.